What? Good afternoon, everyone, on this very pleasant, murky Saturday afternoon here in Devon. How are you, my friend? How are you up there? All right. What's the weather like up there for you? Have you got your swimming trunks on or what? What's it like?
No, it's miserable out here. It's really humid, really close still, but nowhere near as hot as it has been. How are you, mate?
I'm all right. It's always good to get the weather forecast. I've been getting used to this 7 days of sun, of baking sun, but has been a bit thundery and stuff. I say just had the old couple of migraines, which luckily I don't suffer from too badly now. But it's that I was speaking to someone the other day, and I said, "Oh, it's really close," and they said, "What's that? What's close mean?" And
really?
They're quite intelligent people, and I said, but it's funny how you just don't come across these words, but close. Yeah, it's close. It's been horrible. But I think we said goodbye to our summer now, haven't we?
Yeah, it's August. I mean, August is always torrential rain. So, you know what? I mean, I'm not a big fan of rain, but I'm done with the hot weather, and so are my dogs. So I'm sorry to you sun worshippers out there, but I'm done. Thanks.
Good, but yes, I know. I do like the sun, I must admit. Good morning from hot and humid Oklahoma. Welcome.
Well, I bet it is hot out there.
We are so international, Dave, I tell you.
We are, mate.
So international, so jet-setting. Yeah, no, it's good. I'm really looking forward to today, actually, because I always find you can't get enough dogs. And Arthur is around here somewhere. Hang on a minute. The trouble is, I keep telling my wife and my kids who are 21, they always get the dog out the way and all that because they like to stay away for the hour, and so I lose Arthur, you know. But so he's around here somewhere. But how's he going up there?
Finn's around here somewhere. I'm getting. Is anyone else getting it? I'm just getting a little bit of feedback. Can anybody else hear it?
Oh yeah, no, mine's okay actually. I think
anyone.
Mine's good. You went a little bit there for a second, but you're all right.
You had some feedback the other week. What did you do for that? I've got an idea. I'll go and speak to.
Yeah, no, hang on a minute. If you could. Okay, mate. If you sort that out, and I'll keep.
Carry on.
All right. I'm going to tell you guys until he sorts out, because his is going a bit funny, isn't it? Where we're going to speak to today, we're going to speak to this guy here. He's Gareth Greaves. I am 3/4 of the way through this book, and I'm really excited because he's a guest for today, and he's a phenomenal dog handler, like someone else I know. Can't think who it is.
Harry. What is it?
Well, I tell you what, mate.
What is it you did on your computer when you got feedback?
Yeah, if you change that bit there, those two little buttons there,
right.
I found that it stopped the feedback.
Oh, right, okay.
So
if I go back upstairs and do that, then it'll be.
Yeah, no, okay. Well, you might as well come here now, I guess. You know, there's no point. Hello.
I've touched him.
We are now married.
We are married. Yeah.
This is my new partner. I think it's pretty plain, wasn't it? It was inevitable.
It was, yeah. We had to at some point. This is how it was supposed to have started, except we're supposed to be in a pub.
This is it. We've got to wait till you retire till we get in the pub, which is about 1,000 years.
At least 1,000 years till I retire.
It is.
I've got to pay for your pension, Harry.
Yeah. Yes, I know.
So we're here.
We need to keep out
together.
I know. This is brilliant. So it means I'm just going to get rid of Finn's understudy for a start. Hey, right, and we're going to. Yes. So now I can change that as well. But I was just explaining. There's two books. I was just explaining today, actually, how these. I keep picking up the wrong book because they are quite in the same colour, and they got two gorgeous dogs on the front, which beautiful. You know we're all absolutely in love with, and two cracking reads, and very different reads. So if you haven't read one, see that one. That one's a bit. I'm holding up the wrong one now. It's weird. It's the other way around. To bear with it. See that shows that I've read it properly.
Yeah.
And it's been around with me.
That's what he says.
I think it's where the door kept banging it at the bottom of the door.
And the coaster, you used to use it as a coffee coaster as well. Yeah, I know.
Yeah, mate. Right. So
I won't tell you what I use your book for.
We've got some pictures in.
Yes. Yeah.
So we have. So this is the main man. Look, my hero Theo, and he was in a documentary, wasn't he? We're going to talk about as well.
He was, yeah. I can see him in the green room. Actually, he's picking his nose and he's throwing peanuts around the green room.
I know, gin and tonics. God, I can see him down there.
Don't get drunk before you come on. You don't drink all our drink in the green room.
He's I'm not.
What's he like? I see.
Right,
see,
okay.
I'm not one of those. Sorry, he's holding stuff up to us. Nothing rude yet. Anyway.
Look at that. It's just scandalous. Oh, afternoon, fellas. It's trouble is, it moves. No, there you go. Can you say what scandalous accusation?
Two bad boys together. What could possibly go wrong? The only thing I can say is at the moment we're both on coffee, so we're reasonably safe.
Yeah, we are. I haven't got suspicious amber liquid disguised with a white label saying lemonade.
What amber liquid do you drink when I'm not around?
You're the dog handler. You go into you're the paratrooper of military. Dog handlers are.
What?
Well, you just bet each other to do the most horrible things, don't you? Because basically germs don't exist.
No, they don't.
Because what's your dog's is yours, and what's yours is your dog's, isn't it?
I think we've got a story.
We have got a story.
Gareth, Gareth definitely got a story.
But I totally get that. I understand it.
Well, when you work with these animals, day in, day out, they are your family, and there is no, what's mine's his or hers, and what's hers is hers.
Right. However, work this one out, right? My wife, who is a little bit OCD with certain things, but with the dog, Arthur, absolutely not. So we were at the dinner table yesterday because we're one of those old-fashioned families that have dinner at the dinner table. And my 21-year-old son was there, and his 21-year-old sister was there. And he doesn't have a knife with his dinners. And Becky said, "Oh, I suppose I'm meant to eat this with just a fork." And so I grabbed the knife off Rowan and handed it to her. And she went, "Whoa, what are you doing? It's not even the fork, right?" And I was like, "Hang on a minute. You kissed the dog."
And then she feeds the dog with her fork.
Yeah. That's completely acceptable.
Of course, that's fine.
Completely acceptable. She is less squeamish with the dog than she is with my son. So work that one out.
Rebecca, if you're watching, hello.
She won't be.
I'm putting up with him today. I know exactly how you feel, and you deserve a medal.
So welcome, Mick Bland.
Hi, Mick.
Nice to see you. Next time, don't be late.
Top man.
This is I can't do what I'm allowed to. Oh yes, okay.
Yeah, it was the bird that nearly gave it away. Because she's downstairs.
Did you get that?
I thought the echo would. Oh yeah.
I know. I'm gonna have to.
And then
did you get my acting? I'm sure Arthur's around here somewhere.
Harry drove up here at about 140 miles an hour. Yeah, I know. You nearly gave it away. What's it like up there?
Yeah, no, up there. I mean, upstairs. But I mean, anything north of Bristol or east of Bristol is up north. And I understand that Gareth has got quite a strong accent as well.
Well, yeah, we will put subtitles up for Gareth.
Yeah, but I do understand the F words and the B words and the other stuff. And, standard dog handler language.
You might hear a lot of it when me and Gareth get talking. If there are any swear words today, though, we do apologise in advance.
Right, I'm going to edit this name, right? So hopefully you can still hear us, everyone. But this is this going to be the right way round?
Boosh. No, yes.
Hey.
Awesome.
There you go.
So, I guess we've run out of things to say. We haven't seen each other like this properly for ages.
Oh, I know. We just stopped kissing, haven't we?
We have, yeah. Just before we went live, we had to run upstairs, so we had to stop kissing. I won't tell you what Gareth's doing in the green room. Oh my God!
I should have put him on early.
Right then.
See, remember, I'm the only one who can't technically get into trouble, which you can't normally say for me. But yeah, I can. Actually, this is it. No. I could get both of you into a whole life. No, what I'm going to do is just encourage you and just get you to say that, just to step over that line a little bit,
So, without further ado.
Look at this. Jackie Derwitt, thank you very much. Good afternoon. First time I've been able to watch you live and not hours later.
I can't
see
wait
where your discussions
I can't wait to see where it
We
goes.
have no idea. And I'll tell you now, literally, because normally I forget the last bit. So Dave gives me a countdown and says, "You got 1 minute left." I went, "Oh yeah, we're doing this thing today, aren't we?" And I forget, And I said, isn't it funny how we absolutely have no idea what we're going to say in the next hour?
None whatsoever.
Absolute zero. There's literally very little planning. And
Well,
I tell you what,
Harry has done some research.
I have.
I haven't read Gareth's book because he's rubbish.
right, there's hoodie, right? That is my notes
That's it
for today. All right.
So,
Oh, you haven't noticed that that's an old style pocket notebook.
oh God! Does that mean I should arrest you, Harry? Can I get one of the dogs to bite you?
No,
Can I get one of the dogs to bite him live? No,
because one of the three defences is I didn't think they would have minded me having them.
Oh,
I may have a couple of
la.
and I did try to find the owner for it, and they didn't want it.
Crikey.
And I did think it was mine. That's the third thing. Should we bring him on? Right. Without further ado, if you don't know who he is, you will do very shortly. He is quite a character, and his dogs are even more so as well. So, really welcome to you.
Just wait for him to pull his trousers up. There he is.
Welcome, my friend. How are you? Look at that hand. That's a.
Oh, yeah.
Let's see that hand again.
I'm covered. I'm covered in tattoos. Well.
I know everything's backwards when you're doing
Yeah,
that.
yeah. It is weird,
Including him.
That is the last. That's the first thing people see on arrest, isn't it? It's like you have just been Gareth.
I have literally, like, because of these, I've been studied before now, and I've little old ladies tutting at me going, I bet you haven't even got a job, have you? And I'm like, no, I haven't.
Well, technically true, some would say, you know.
As like Dave knows, we just get paid to play the best game of hide and seek you have ever taken part in. Brilliant.
Yeah, and that really comes across actually in this one again. Guessed it. It's on Amazon and all good bookshops, isn't it? Because you've got a proper publisher like Dave has, isn't that right?
Yeah.
So really,
That story's good.
and it really comes across that you were saying really from the early days, and you had sort of a false start, which is quite interesting. And there's a real way of getting human nature to get through troubled times in your life and things. Is because you were free flowing, and you admit that you were probably a little bit arrogant at that point, and you just needed. There was a time in your life when you got into a bit of trouble, didn't you? And you lost. You had to come off the dog section. What happened there?
It's no secret that when I joined the dogs, I was, as Dave will tell you, when your dogs begin to get very good. I had a dog that you could only describe as violent. And he was very good at what he did. Some dogs you take for jobs. Riley, you would have taken him to war. With that, and the more success you get, the more arrogant I got. And as the book said, I was a complete dickhead. It's simple as that. I just grew and grew and grew. And then I, unfortunately, got clocked speeding on duty, as we can do that, chasing a stolen car. And I got clocked. I got Gatso doing way over the speed limit, chasing an armed robbery gang. And as a result of that, I got investigated. I didn't agree with that. And me and my big head and cockiness wouldn't take no for an answer. And as a result, no one's bigger than the bosses at work, and I was, yes, as Harry's pointed out, thank you, like an old scab picking at it. I was removed from my dream job forever.
How long ago was that?
I got removed from the dog section when I had Riley in 2010.
Right.
And then I took a 2-year sabbatical, doing a bit of gardening service for divisions, etc. And I was lucky enough then to be able to reapply to be a dog handler. And do you know what? In all honesty, it was the best lesson I've ever learned in my life.
Yeah.
It really was.
Can I just ask? People are complaining about a noise on the microphone. Can you just confirm? Well, I've just changed these settings and things on the mics and things. Is that still? Can people just come in and still say they can hear it or not? Hopefully,
it's
gone now. It's gone now. Great. Okay. Thank you. I think we were having a little bit of a trouble with the microphone and the speakers messing each other up, but it seems like it's all right now. Cool.
So for those that don't know, I mean, I don't even know what year was it that you were on Sending the Dogs with Riley?
So we filmed Sending the Dogs in 2009,
right.
And they filmed with me. He was with me, the cameraman Paddy, really, really good man. Still in contact with him today. He'll be somewhere around the world. he's done work for Discovery Channel, etc. And he stayed with me for 6 months. He practically lived in my house, and Riley adopted him as his own little pack. And yeah, so we filmed that in 2009, and it was aired, I think, in 2010, just prior to me getting kicked off the dogs. To be honest.
Well, that was about the time I got on the dog unit. And so obviously I wanted to be a dog handler all my life, and I've been brought up with German Shepherds, I mean, the whole series, I love sending the dogs, but it was the first series, and it was sort of near the end of the first series. And it was, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it was the first straight chase and bite they'd had on the series. And it was just before I went on a unit, and it was like, boom, that's what I want to do.
I remember Paddy was with another dog handler at the time, and I remember I approached him in my usual subtle way, you can imagine at that time, and I said, "You're with the wrong lad here. If you come with me, I promise you I will get you a straight chase and bite on camera." And it had never been done before, ever. But it was that, as you well know, Dave, and I'm sure Harry knows as well, when you're good at your job, you have that air of arrogance. And I just thought,
that probably explains why I've never been arrogant, then, guys. I honestly, people, my motto is I strive for adequate, you see. And so don't try to overachieve. Let everyone overachieve random and around you and make them look good and feel good.
I've been called lots of things. I'm sure arrogant is on that list.
In that adequate state, as an ex-traffic officer, you've never pulled a car over and done the old telepathy. Do you know why I'm pulling over? No, I don't. I've got a clue.
Yeah,
I would. It's the one thing you learn as a traffic man, actually, because people get confused because on Devon and Cornwall, we have a lower level of crime because the sun just shines and people just swear a bit occasionally, and that's why we have a police service. But yeah, so we're dual rolled and we're ARV and traffic. But one of the things I would never do is ask, "Do you know why I've stopped you?" Because then they would say, "No, I don't," and then I'd go, "Oh right, I stopped you because you were speeding." "No, I wasn't." "Yes, you were." "No, you were." And you get into an argument, and it's right for you because you just send the dog in, and as it. But that's a joke, people, right? But no, so I used to always say, as a matter of interest, I used to just say, hello, the reason I've stopped you is because you weren't wearing your seatbelt or you're on your mobile phone. Can I have your driving license, please? Can I see your driving license? And they're straight into it. And honestly, my complaints were next to nothing until I started Twitter. Complaints went.
And the rest is history. We know all about that. Blimey.
Yeah.
I'd say you did 140 mile an hour to get here today. So, I mean, it's fair to say that Riley.
No cops out there now.
Riley didn't ask the guy on sending the dogs for politely for his details. He did that burglar right.
No, Riley, one of the greatest edits on that camera is where we give him the command out, and funnily enough, the camera just seems to pan for a second. And then I don't know how that happened, but no, it was the first bite ever recorded on TV, and it, even to this day, people still talk to me and say, "Oh, sending the dogs. That's why I joined the unit. That's why I did this."
Yeah.
I had messages all from Australia. Hello, Theo. I had messages all from Australia, all around the world. It was a really good series.
Yeah.
What was the actual? Because Dave's was basically a big influence on you joining the dog section is because your relationship before you were in the job, when your home life growing up was tough to say the least, wasn't it? and you found your sort of salvation with walking people's dogs, and that was the first time you had that real relationship, that close relationship with something that trusted you without question, But what was the thing that got you into it? Did you take you had dogs when you were a child and whatever? But
no, my mum and dad won't let me have dogs. They were tight. The brutal fact is, I grew up on a right rough estate, and I just saw dogmen every day.
Brilliant.
Yeah, they were always there. But no, joking aside, I've always loved dogs. I had an imaginary dog as a kid. Everyone had friends. I had an imaginary dog.
Oh yeah, what's your imaginary dog called again? I remember reading this.
He sadly died a couple of years ago, but his name's Rufus. So yeah.
Sorry, I shouldn't be laughing at your notional dog death. I'm sorry.
Thanks, Harry. Right there again.
Right,
but no, it was one of those jobs that I'd always dreamed of doing as a kid. I wanted to be a police officer because I enjoyed it. I enjoyed what they did. And growing up in the state, I did see them every day. They were around at my house most days, to be honest.
So you're like a bit like you're a bit like that. You could have gone either way then, do you think?
Well, without a shadow of a doubt, I always say to people before I joined the police, I wasn't always honest. I never committed crime or anything like that, but you grew up in a state where you see it, so you know how to. And I think that's one of the traits of being a really good police officer. You can think like, we won't call what we call them like an offender, and that's how I grew up doing it. But it was, yeah, I don't see it as a job. It was, it's just my way of life. I'm very, very lucky, as we all are. We do jobs that we want to do every day of the week.
Yeah.
You've got plenty of people who are fans of you, and Sevi things. Love the video of Sevi not going back in the pen and wanting the belly rub, bless him. And this is it, because on the, I mean, Sevi, obviously your spaniel, right, with for bodies.
Yeah, Sevi is, or he was my victim recovery dog. Unfortunately, Sevi's lost his ear and he's gone deaf. So Sevi's been retired. So people always ask, is he in the house? And as Dave will tell you, there's one thing having a working Springer Spaniel in your house. It's another having a deaf working Springer Spaniel in your house. And the reason he doesn't stay in here is because last week when I caught him in the kitchen and he was swallowing my mobile phone, he had to go back outside. Yeah, he's just so Sevi's lovely. People really fall in love with like Theo, and I think people are falling in love a little bit more with Sevi now because he is such a character. He's hilarious and he has the best kicks ever. But it doesn't matter how much I shout, he can't hear him. It's like being married. Oi!
we haven't got long enough to talk about marriage. So you were kicked off a dog unit because, and Harry will tell you stories of dog handlers turning up to jobs well before everyone else because of our standard of driving. So you were kicked off a dog unit because you can't drive. And then when you came back, you then got Theo. You got the main man. Is that right?
I did, yeah. I came back in 2012 and I was lucky enough to work along or have a trainer, a gentleman called Paul Quinlan. Absolutely phenomenal trainers. We all meet him in our career. And he'd found Theo for me at a kennels in Doncaster called Elmouse Kennels. He was trained by a man called Tony Mason. Absolutely phenomenal man. And he was going to be his dog. He was going to be his Schutzen dog. And Quinny did a deal and said, Gino needs a dog, and everyone had seen me on sending the dog, so they knew they were going to get what they were going to get. And Theo came into the kennels at the same time as me coming back on the unit. And if I told you he was like the best police dog, the most fearsome dog you've ever met, I would be lying through my teeth. He was absolutely pants. He was like he was so scared. He'd not seen the world.
Oh.
But it was nice because I'd just gone back on the unit. I was apprehensive. I'd gone back under a shadow cloud. Why is Gareth coming back? And I met him in the kennel, as it's covered in the book, and he was really, really nervous and scared. And as Dave will tell everyone as well, they're not normally the most predictable dogs, and nervous dogs are quite a dangerous dog to have. And I was a bit unsure. I mean, to be honest, I walked past Theo in the kennels. I didn't want him. I walked straight past him.
Wow.
I wanted
imagine if you had. Imagine if you'd gone for another one. We won't be talking now.
But it's really interesting because, again, looking in from the outside, your training structures go back through generations of police dog instructors. This is how you do it. This is because it's a tried and tested system and it works. And you can't have everyone going off doing their own thing and having their own ideas necessarily. Although, if it's anything like firearms, I know dogs are, when new ideas do come in, especially when there's such a mix from other forces, you do learn off each other all the time and things do naturally progress and develop. But you found that Theo was very, didn't cope well with stress a lot of the time and on a track when it was really needed. And we'll talk about later when your wife got attacked and things. And you'd think that was a Hollywood film where you were the one on call and you heard that your wife had been attacked in a really like a carjacking road rage situation. And you went and, well, tell us the story there, can you? I know I'm jumping a little bit. But.
No, it is. It's we're all police officers. We're prepared for anything and used to dealing with everything on a daily basis. Even now I'm getting chills. Nothing will ever, I can't forget that day. I was mopping out. It was 5:30 in the morning. I finished nights. I was mopping out. Claire, my wife, was going to work. My wife at the time. And she texted me, and I thought, oh, it's going to be a text in a good morning. And when I read the text, it just said help. And I was like, what? And then my phone rang. And it was probably one of the worst things I've heard. It was my mother and my kids, my wife at the time, screaming down the phone, Gaz, help, help, he's attacking me. I could hear a massive commotion. And then she shouted out a registration plate, and I knew straight away, because that night I'd been looking for that car. I knew it had been committing offences. I knew it had been carrying out robberies. And it was sickening. It dropped me to my ass, I've got to be honest with you. And then the phone went dead, and it was like, what do we do now? And I remember rushing back to the car, and Theo was asleep. I put him away for the day. He was going to bed. And I rushed back in the car. He was in a bit of a state, and I threw him in the plain dog van, and shouting up on the radio saying, my wife is somewhere between this area. I think she's getting carjacked or something's happening. Can you get a patrol to her? And then that was it. It was a blue line run from Charlton, where I was based, to Leeds in Oldham, which is about 19 miles away. It was possibly the quickest I've ever driven in my life. And you could hear stuff coming over the radio, and my friends were getting there, the colleagues I've worked with. And yeah, they shouted up straight away and said, we've got her, G, we've got her at the side of the road. She's injured, she's hurt, she has been attacked. Yeah, it's hard. And then I remember thinking, then you're torn. You're like, do you go to your family, or, as you two well know, we have this inherent switch in police officers, and you can just switch it on. And that's what I did. I just kicked myself up my backside a little bit. I went, right, focus, come on. And yeah, went into work mode, started going to the area where the car was one of the patrols got behind it, they were having a pursuit, and then they lost it. And I vividly remember the night, because it was frosty morning, we just got there, car had been abandoned, and normally, as Dave knows, when you get a dog out at a job, time is of the essence. You want these dogs out quick, you've got to get them out. And Theo really he'd done a lot for me at that time, but he'd never really shown me that he was going to be the one. And as I've explained in the book, I vividly remember it. I got him out the back, and I had to talk to him. I never talked to the dogs now, and I just said to him, if you are ever going to do anything for me, prove to me that you're a police dog. I need you to find this man for me. And it meant so much. Yeah. And I didn't know at the time that there was a huge discussion going on in the area operations room, obviously, because I really shouldn't have been going to that job. I had a vested interest in that job. And yeah, so we went and we got there, and, there's the old man there with him. And it was one of those moments where, as you said there, Harry, you can't write it. You couldn't write that moment. When Theo located him, it was quite epic. And then two things happened that night. One, Theo proved to me that he was always going to be by my side, and we had a massive connection, which I'll never lose. And two, that lad really, really regretted doing what he did when Theo
I know what you're talking about.
I know. So, RT phenomenal. The pressure was on, but I bet you clicked into professional mode and tried to put stuff. And it's almost like I know when I was really stressed out at home and whatever, as things were, real problems. When I went back at work, it was inevitably training, and I was usually, because I did an awful lot of training, I said one day I'll be really good at something, and I completely forgot everything at home then, and I was set in that work, and it's what I needed. The last thing I wanted to do was come up. But then there are times when you're at work and you've got the track, and Theo, it just wasn't happening, and you forgot, and you went back and started the track again. And you've usually, is it training where you tend to be quiet and let the dog get on with it, and then you play it at the end? Or but then what did you find was different by knowing your dog?
We get taught so many things, and I imagine it's the same in Dave, where you're tracking, you don't talk to the dog, you don't ever run, they don't want you to run, you've got to walk, and it just wasn't working. Theo was getting stressed out, and that's the time where, and I'm sure Dave's done it, where you have to just think outside the box. Not every dog is the same, just like every human. We're not all the same, but like children learn differently, certain ways. And Theo, I started to talk to him, just softly, encouraging him, even if it went wrong. Like, it's not a problem, mate, because I found I was putting so much pressure on him. It was probably my fault. And like the photographs there, you just become part of each other. And I found on the tracks there, if you just speak to him and ask him politely, so to speak, he began to grow in confidence. And there's something about tracking that once you start clicking together and you're tracking and reading each other, it's the best feeling in the world when you can find somebody who no one else can find, and the dogs have done it all for you. You can't explain it. I wish I could replicate that feeling and give it to everybody.
If you could bottle it, I mean, it's so addictive, isn't it? And then you end up pushing harder for the next one and pushing harder for the next one, and pushing harder. And that's quite often when you find yourself isolated in the middle of nowhere, facing a gang of people that want to smash your face in, or someone's trying to stab your dog, or, as you know, set fire to your dog. Or, I mean, the one that we shared for Finn's Law, where you and Theo got into that really horrible fight that someone filmed from their house. I don't know whether that was captured on body worn, but I can imagine if that woman hadn't have filmed it, no one would have believed your story. No one would have believed. Yeah,
I didn't know it was you. I didn't know it was you.
That you and Theo went through that, and the bloke's swearing at at you and telling his mate to bite Theo's ear. I mean, we'll let you tell the story, but you do push harder and harder, and you are a team and you are as one. And, you wouldn't have left Theo in that situation on his own to do it. And I wouldn't have left Finn in the back garden on his own to deal with that. It was,
it was. But it was true, wasn't it? It was talking to Theo, gave him that confidence because you knew him. It's your soulmate and whatever. But sorry, I just didn't want to miss that one.
No, it's right. And that was the key to talk to Theo. But as Dave's getting there, you don't lose. You never leave your dog. I'd never leave Theo. Ever, and they stay with us. And that night when I'd sent him, I was expecting, oh, here we go, he'll be detained in a couple of minutes and I'll be back at the nick writing my statement. And it didn't happen that night. And when you go around the corner, and obviously there was body cam footage, what people haven't seen, and there's a point on that where Theo takes him to the ground and I get on top of him, and he was a big lad. He was 6 foot odd. I'm only small, and there's a bit where on the body of one video he picks us both up. He just stands up, and I'm on his back, and he's got Theo attached. And it's that moment where you're like, I am in serious trouble here, serious trouble. My radio got kicked away, and people wouldn't have believed it. That lady was filming it, and the annoying thing was, which people don't know, is that then people who were filming made a complaint against me, and I was getting kicked in with Theo.
No. So you and your dog are getting a kick in, and you're the one being complained about.
There seems to be this thing that what is very frustrating, going a little bit political, but not enough to get any of you two into trouble. But it seems to be that we've got this thing where we're saying, well, yes, we need to be open to criticism and things like that. And that's great. But I suggest, as long as you're basing it on some sort of experience or knowledge. And the trouble is, people think they have a really good voice and an influence as to how you should do your job. There you go. There's Theo. Bless his heart. And see, everything takes over now. That's it. When you think how many little criminals he's had in that little muzzle there, you wouldn't think butter would melt, would you?
Bless him. That dog is a legend. That dog is an absolute
He is a phenomenal legend.
An absolute hero and an absolute legend.
I mean, this is the problem. What I'm saying is, and what I'm getting, especially with London and that side of things, the Met, is people have got too much of an opinion, and sometimes you don't know. You wouldn't go to an electrician and tell him how to rewire that house because he's done a shocking job if you don't know how to do it. You'd want to base it on some sort of experience or knowledge. And the problem is, I think we jump around too much, and you've got people there who believe that there is some magic fairy dust sprinkle on people. Well, can't you use your right, get out of that without move. It's so frustrating. Makes me angry. I can say a bit more than you now.
No, it's one thing that I've always experienced in the police, and this is me talking personally from my side, and I'm sure it's the same everywhere. It's like that night with Claire, Erin's mum. Your professionalism kicks in. You're not daft. It's although you're angry at sometimes, you don't enjoy it. Your training does kick in, and you know what to do. And we are allowed to use force. People don't realise we are allowed, and it seems to be this at this moment in time with the way the world is. People can abuse us as much as we want, and we do have to stand there. I've stood there before now with people telling me they're going to rape my children, and I'm this and I'm that, and we are expected to have that level of and we do. We have that level of calmness. But when it comes down to it, if someone's trying to kill me or hurt me,
Yeah.
I'm going to fight back. It's as simple as that. We have to have a fight. And in the video, one thing that came out of it, because when it went on YouTube, it had over 1 million views. It's frightening in like 24 hours. People were saying how restrained we were. And in other parts of the world, they were saying, you know, they'd have dealt with it. They'd have just tasered him. They might have shot him. You know, we have a different level. So
I didn't mean to put that one up. I didn't mean to put that one up.
So people said it to me. People said, you know, if he'd have done that to my dog, I'd have killed him and whatever. But like you say, the professionalism does kick in. Obviously, I did everything I could to save my mate, and he did everything he could to save me.
I mean, on that night, Dave, when that happened, I've experienced Theo being set on fire, his ribs broken, teeth, ears bitten. Finn was stabbed. He was dying. How did you just keep it all together? Because I know at that point, if that had been my Theo, my arse would have fell out. Absolutely.
It did, mate. It did. But I had to do everything I possibly could to try and save his life, because if I didn't, and I had a great team around me, so like, you know, the next two or three guys through the gate were firearms officers, so they jumped on him and dealt with him. Finn and I had already disarmed him. And then the next guy through the door was the skipper, and the guy behind him was a long serving PC. And I'm all I can do is shout down the radio, I think I swore, I need a vet. They said, don't worry, we've already rung the vet, and I can't hear anything they're saying. I just shouting, I need a vet. And the colleague, the PC shouts, we've got you a vet, chuck me the keys, you grab Finn, and we're going. And I had to do my best to keep it together, but I knew that was a massive knife, and I saw where he stabbed him, and I thought I might only have a few seconds. And then I'm thinking, I've never shared this. I'm thinking, well, I'm gonna walk him to the van, because I want to know what I need. Is he going to collapse? Is he going to go now? And then I sort of walked him a few yards, and I thought, no, I can't do that. I've got to pick him up. I've got to, you know, try and save him as much. And I was in such a panic. And the only thing I really remember from the trip in the van was leaning through, because obviously I had a driver, leaning through back into the hatch, trying to get him to relax. But we're traveling on blue lights, so he's thinking, woo, we've got another job to go to. As much pain as he was in, he was thinking, we've got another job to go to. And I can hear the radio in the background, and they're crackling, and they're trying to get an update from me, but I didn't care. I was just worried about Finn. And then I heard the Oscar, I don't know if you call him Oscar one up there, the ops inspector, who's brilliant, absolutely legend, one of the best Oscars there are. And he said, I need to justify a full firearms authority, because there are other people outstanding. What can PC Wardell get, or Zulu Delta 25 or whatever my call sign was, what can he say to justify me giving a firearms authority? And then, I did swear down the radio. And I said, look, you know, he's tried to kill my dog and then tried to stab me in the face. If that doesn't give you an authority, I don't know what does. Like you say, how do you keep it together? Exactly the same way you kept it together for your wife's job, and when Theo was set on fire, which we'll talk about next, and when you were fighting that guy, you've got a job to do, and you've got to try and come out of it alive.
Yeah, I always found in my jobs it was afterwards, it was aftermath. You deal at the time, and as my career went on and my time with Theo went on, as the book relays, the pressure you don't realise you're under, we never talk about it. Police officers do under pressure, and every job you had, it was piling and piling and piling. And each time you do something, I was beginning to crash more off duty. I was like, oh, I need a rest. Yeah, it's that. And it's just difficult. It is massively difficult. And I think that's, again, where, especially as men, because we are that caveman, we are man. We're all infallible. We're just human. And I think that's where being a dog handler has really helped me, because he's always here for me. He's here now. He's next to me in the kitchen. They pick up on it. It's unbelievable how loyal they are. And one of the biggest things people always say to me is, what do you fear the most at work? Yeah, he's there, bless him. God love him. But people always say, like, what do you fear the most at work? What do you fear then? And do you know what? I don't fear anything at work. As you two have been cops, we are cops. The one thing I fear the most is, at some point, he's not going to be here.
Oh, mate.
You were talking about that this morning, weren't we?
We're in danger of making each other cry here, Gareth. Because I tell you what, as Harry said, we had that discussion. I wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Finn. I know you wouldn't be here today if it wasn't for Theo.
No.
But that day's coming. Finn's 11 and a half. You know, I had a chat with my chief inspector the other day, and he said, "Oh, so," and he was he was lovely, but he was quite matter of fact about it. "Oh, so one day, blah blah blah, is going to happen to Finn," and I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And that's going to be the worst day of my life. And I don't know. I don't think I'm going to be able to cope.
I can't speak for. It's bad enough having a pet dog, and to actually donate your whole working life with their characters and their beings as well, and to know that they would literally throw down their lives for you and things is quite incredible. Whereas Arthur tried to do that for me, he'd be like a little gnat that flicked away, unfortunately. But I can say for my two other dogs, my brother's lost one recently, a dog. Actually, I was just saying that it was one that he adopted from Corsica as a stray, and he was never into dogs, couldn't care, and it was quite, you should get one. He had his young family down there, and this dog just kept appearing in photographs, and then this dog was named. It was named now, and then it was all the forms were done, and this dog now was like pulling sledges around Norwegian mountains, which is where they live, and spent 8 years there. And my brother just says now, because he's divorced now, and I just never felt loneliness until now. And that just that they're sitting there in the corner, and I said, you just got to get rid of that. You've got to go through the grieving, and then time will then remind you of the good times.
One of the things I've said all along is the problem with dogs is they're here in your life, and they accept all your love, and you feed off them and you love it. When they die, they take every bit of that love with them, and it crushes you, and it still crushes me to this day. When I remember vividly when I went to put Riley to sleep, it was a horrible experience because that dog, as I've said earlier, it was the hardest dog I've ever come across, and he took 3 injections at the vet to put him to sleep, and it killed. He had to go. It was time from school. He was giving up. And I remember walking out of the surgery or into the reception area, a blubbering wreck, and he'd hidden me around the corner because I couldn't focus. And this little old dear, God love her, she's at the reception with me, and she was like, "You're that man off the telly. How's Riley?" So how do you say to someone at that point, "Oh, he's on the slab in there"? And it's the same with pets. It doesn't matter what they are, working dogs, anything, cats, any pet. People rely on these so much, and that's what I'm realizing. My partner now, Vicky, says to me, she's the dog handler. When Theo goes, she is leaving me for a week. We don't know how we're gonna do it, so we shall see. But anyway, it's getting depressing, isn't it?
Well, it is my biggest fear. It really is.
That's true.
Yeah, they can.
Yeah,
it is my biggest fear, mate. And
mine one makes up with attitude.
Yeah, I know that the likes of you, we've all got pets, and it's really hard when they go. But Finn saved my life. I wouldn't be talking to you today if it wasn't for Finn. When he goes,
I know. I don't know. I don't think I'm going to even speak to you for a week because I wouldn't know what to say to you.
You won't be able to.
I know. You'd be doors shut.
It'll make a cracking Saturday afternoon Twitter feed, won't it? It'll be amazing. We can talk about something.
Just us two crying.
I mean, there was a question earlier on there about PTSD, saying, is there a higher level of PTSD for dog handlers and things? Basically, I can only assume because you're on your own a lot, but you're not on your own. You've got your comrades sort of thing, but you're usually at the thick end of the dangerous bit before anyone else is there, especially firearms, and because we haven't had our briefings and stuff by then yet, and I'm giving myself rubbish.
We're going to the RV point, sir, and polishing up. There's a dog handler somewhere in a bush, thinking, for God's sake, just get here now. I swear to God.
I'm counting my bullets one more time. All right. Just hang on a minute. And I've got to measure them. 9mm. Yeah, it's 9mm. That one there. But that's, but it is. Do you fight? I mean, amongst you nationally, is there an issue?
I think Gareth pointed it out just now that we probably part of the problem is we think we're roughy tufty and Well, we do always go to the crap. When
Mm.
people are trying to kill each other and whatever else, and you do find yourself on your own, having tracked, you know, a mile or whatever, and there's no one there to help you out but your dog. I wrote in my book, and obviously this was a few years ago, I did get some criticism. What you said, exactly what you said. We just put it on top, the next, and we haven't got a team to go back and have a cup of coffee with and just chat through the crap. And it's, I work with a load of people, and they're incredible, but they are just waiting for that one straw to break the camel's back, and you don't have no idea what that straw will be.
No, I think what people don't realise as well is, one is like, we deal with these jobs which are, when the members of the public get in trouble, they phone the police. When the police get in trouble, they phone the dogmen or the dog handlers or the dog women. And we go to that job, and it can be the most horrific thing you've seen, whether it's victim recovery or it's tackling somebody. And you get in that van after that, and you are isolated, you're on your own. And many a night, you sit there and try and process it, and the next job will come in, and you'll go again, and you won't deal with it. Now, I don't know if there's forms of PTSD all across the force. I can speak from my own personal experiences. I didn't realise how bad my depression was. I didn't realise how bad I was going under, because, as you touched on it before, Harry, you go to work and you put that mask on. When I'm at home, I'm Gareth, the dad. That's who I am. I'm a partner to Vic. But when I go to work, I'm G, and G keeps me safe. But we tend to rely on that all the time. And as dog handlers, we are so isolated. Dave will tell you, we hate it when people go, "Oh, can we have a ride along in the van with you?" No, okay, come on. You just got to be on your own, because that's what you're used to. And it is. I imagine if people were honest and we looked at it and the figures came on, the stress of what we deal with every day would be right up there.
The only good thing is that you don't have to do anything other than a statement. So that's quite good. You have to leave the proper files to us. Well, in my force anyway. But because, to be honest, there's only one exam you have to do. Isn't it? It's like
how to pick up poo.
Oh, do you know what?
Oh, picking up poo on a winter's day. Isn't that magic?
I was discussing this earlier.
Right, okay. No, this is it. Gareth has just reminded me, because there was a woman who could you explain why a woman was nearly sick in her car next to you in a car park, please?
So it was a winter's day, and I'd just come off the field, and my hands were freezing, as Dave does. As dog owners, we do often pick up the poo, and you'll put it in the bag in your pockets and hold it, because it will warm your hands up, won't it? But that wasn't the reason. I remember pulling up at a petrol station, and I was eating my dinner, and we always slide the arch, and Theo came through, and there's a lovely lady there with her son, and she's like, "Oh, look, the dog's there." And I'm just in my own world, and I'm taking a bite of my cheese sandwich, and I'm just handing it like that. And Theo's taking a bite, and then I'm coming back, and I'm having a bite, and I'm looking across, thinking, this is completely normal. This is what we do. She's ushering a child in the back, and then looking at me going, "That is utterly disgraceful." And she's nearly vomiting. And I'm going, "Oh, yeah, that's not quite right, that." And funnily enough, we did the same, me and my partner, Vic. Only 2 weeks ago, we went to a little ice cream fire at a little farm, and there's loads of families there. Theo was with us, and we're eating ice creams, and she's just handing him the ice cream, and he's licking her, and then we're coming back, and the people going.
That's one level a little bit too much, because I've smelt my dog's breath. That's the only thing. So
I was telling Gareth and Harry earlier, for you guys watching, just a short story of John Nichol and I went out one evening to some do, and I offered to give John a lift home, because he'd had a drink and I hadn't, because I was with Finn. And we got into my private van, which is relatively clean, but obviously stinks of dog. But as Gareth will testify, we have no sense of smell whatsoever, or we have higher tolerances, shall we say. And so I hadn't even shut the door for John, and he's like, "Bloody hell, it stinks in here, get me out of here." But our standard, I don't know if our standards are lower or our tolerances are higher.
We have literally, due to COVID in our force at the minute, we've all been separated to keep the force running. So I'm now at a little pilot station down the road, and I've moved my kit there into the main locker room. Oh my God, I've caused a storm, because I can't smell it. But now the people, they're refusing to get changed in the locker room, because my locker stinks. And I'm like, "What's the problem? It's only kit." And they're like, I had a search the other day with Sevin. We know what Sevin does, and I left all his kit in the locker room. That smelled beautiful by the morning. It really did.
We smell the same as our muddy, wet dogs. When you go into a briefing, everybody knows who you are, not because they've looked round to see you, but because they can smell you come in. That comes with the job.
Do they all know you are? Do they all know you are because you've sold multiple millions of books and you're a millionaire? You go around.
Well, apparently, Gareth, and I'm sure you two will agree to this. If you've published a book, everybody does think you're a millionaire. No one actually knows the truth is. No one makes money in publishing other than publishers.
No, they don't. They don't indeed. And this little girl will say now, she hobbles in, she comes. My little girl on the floor. Everyone thinks, but she was like, "Oh, we're going to live in a farm and buy a horse." And no, my little sweetheart, we're not. Hello.
Oh dear, I know. It's but you know what? It's as you said earlier in our little chat, that it's important that these stories are told, and I'm pleased that your boss, my boss, or Harry doesn't have a boss now, but I'm pleased that they had allowed us to tell this story, because these stories, traditionally haven't been told.
No, they're not, and it's I had to get permission to tell my story, and people were like, even at work, like, what's so important? What's so special about this? But people don't realise how special they are, and we've all got stories in police. It's one of the things, and to share that and be able to share it. It was when HarperCollins approached me and asked me to share my story in relation to what I'd done with Theo and my little girl, and it was a real honour, because that's all we want to do. We see it every day going to work, and be able to show that and give it to people and share it's a great honour. It doesn't matter that, again, you're going to be a millionaire. We're not. I'm not going to make any money out of it. It doesn't matter. It's not about that. As I said at the time, you've left a legacy. And one thing that's so important to me, and same with Finn now, is when they do pass away, they're immortal now. They're always going to be there. People can always pick it up.
That's the thing that struck me more than anything is I genuinely, with mine, it was a bit surprised, because I wasn't doing it with any intention to publish it. It was just literally, I did. He's beautiful, and he's so. And I noticed Dave is never out of Finn's sight, and the same with you, Gareth. I think, as he just walks out the door, but he's just there, sat there, just looking, and he's always pointing at Dave. And it's just lovely to see that utter devotion. And they do say the owners are like their dogs. And then somebody just mentioned that it was lovely to see you all grown up from the book.
Yeah, she's hobbling around a little bit, and she's broken.
I know she's obviously having now. Yes. So could you describe with her situation at the moment, whether she's going to be a delicate person who loves calm, soft, nice things, or is she going to be like a dad?
She's just like me. It's as simple as that. She brought them all when you made her, and the reason she came in then, she's like, "Oh, can we have Duke?" So she brought Duke to say hello to everybody. Here he is.
Hey! That's a real dog. Right there, that's a real dog.
This is the dog that rules the pack. Great little man.
Oh my goodness.
Who has the biggest attitude? The little one.
This Chihuahua rules the roost in this house. It's unbelievable. But
this is
again, that's the thing that people don't see is, as you've experienced, Dave, your children grow up with the animals. Theo's just been with me now. He's left me now. He's here with Erin. He's literally he'll be with us now. That's all he does. And they become part of the pack. And again, that's a nice bit of the story we can tell and share. And
it's lovely. What's lovely as well, Gareth, is again, the reason I did my book is my dad used to write books. And do you remember for every book he sold, he got 59 pence back then? But it was a million years ago. But he wrote properly. Sorry?
So he's got a better deal than me.
Yeah.
But he was, I mean, this was literally 55 years ago. So,
wow.
I mean, it's a new story. But because he did his autobiography when he died when I was 18, and it was the typical thing, didn't really talk about his war years and stuff like that very much. And it's all there. And the fact that Erin now has this document that is there forever. And Real shows you it's like her dad talking. It shows all the little bits that you wouldn't have necessarily remembered. You know, all the detail. It shows your emotions, your thinking, and all those sorts of things that is just there, so that you won't know that her kids, her grandkids might be reading it as well. You know, about what great. It's quite amazing, really.
But books are so powerful, and that's again why I started the children's books about Theo, because Erin used to, as a nipper, be like, "Oh, Daddy, what have you done at work today?" Now, how do you tell a small child what dog animals do at work? You can't.
Yeah.
But that's again, it was a way into me when I did the children's books to allow little children to experience it and give them a little bit of fun. And that is the beauty of books, like you said there. You can experience what your father did. You know, all Dave's book now is his children and their children after that. And even now, I reread my book now and I'm going to go, wow, you know, that's different. I look at that in a totally different way now. And that is the beauty of them. And Theo now will last forever. And it is one of those things. And as the comments put up there about Sevi, I read that chapter, and that is one of the chapters that gets people every time. When we lost Sevi, and then when I got him back for Erin, that was, again, heartstring stuff. And to be able to share that and capture it in that moment as it was, it's a special thing, and not many people get to do that.
It certainly is, mate. We are so lucky. I think, I don't know if we said it before we started the live or whether we said it on the live, but you know we need to talk about that. You and I both appreciate how lucky we are to do the job we do, and how amazing it is to stick the dog in the back of the van every day and go out with your best mate and go and have some fun. But talk about what's this child's book. Come on, tell us about it.
So when Erin was in 2014, I think it was, so she was 3 years of age. She used to talk to me and we used to read, and Erin was always interested in what Daddy did at work. And that's when I did a school visit once at Erin's school, and we ran out of time. The dogs had done their bit, and the teachers were trying to film. I said, "Look, I've got this little story that I tell Erin," and it was titled "Theo and the Mystery Muffin Thief," and it was all about teaching children in a really fun way how not to steal. Just a little life lesson, but it helped what Theo did at work. And I came up with a story, and then I read it to the class, and the teacher was like, "You have to release this book." The kids were in awe, and I was like, "Oh, I don't know about that." And then in my spare time, I started to do it. And as the book covers, my son suffered with cancer. He got a brain tumor. Got upset then. Sorry. He had a brain tumor, and while we were in hospital, I started to see the children in there, and they were pulling. Again, it was like, we need to create this book, and we made it. And Christie's was phenomenal for my son. Saved his life, 7.5-hour operation. I'll never be able to thank him enough. And there's many children in there. There was a little boy in there when I was there, and I asked him at the time, I was like, "Oh, where do you live?" And he was like, I live here at the hospital. And he was 8 years old, and he said, "I'm going to die soon." And it really hurt me. So I created the book, and I published the book to hand out at the Christie's unit, so children can have that involvement, because some of these children are so poorly they can't meet Theo or they can't meet dogs. So the book was a way of getting out there, and I created the children's book. And sadly, it got stopped through certain avenues, shall we say, but the book will come again. The children's book will come out, and hopefully, and again, it was just a way of being able to express Theo's job. And you know, I donated a lot to the Christie's Hospital, and it's hard for me to talk about the cancer stuff because it was my little boy, and what those staff see and do every day was amazing. And that book just gave those children, you could see them light up, and we used to read it to them. And yeah, hopefully that project can come back up again, and there'll be people interested in that. And it just gives, again, a really, really nice detailed story of what we do, but at the same time you can incorporate a little message. And in the end of children's books, it was Erin, that book, Theo and the Mystery Muffin Thief, at the end it was just, instead of taking something, just share it. And it stops. Children are our future. They are our future. I'm not going to change the world. You two aren't going to change the world. It's the kids who are going to go. And if we can get them right now, what a better way to try and do it. So yeah,
absolutely. So we've got at least one more book coming from you, which you've already written. Is there going to be a sequel? Is it going to be a Sevi? Is there going to be... What's your dog called now? What's your dog called now?
It's called Gareth Joins ARVs. No?
Got more respect.
Gareth joins traffic. No.
Well, that will never be the day.
Do you know what? I feel like I'm just prodding you.
Can't,
Go on.
we can't do that much writing. Okay. Very good.
Tell me again, Harry, how many teeth does a German Shepherd have?
Yeah. How many teeth does a German Shepherd have?
72.
You failed.
That's quite a lot. That's a shark. No, that's a great white shark, isn't it? Hang on. Same difference. Yeah. Do you know what? I couldn't tell you if it was 30 or 50.
How many is it, Dave?
Huh?
Hey?
Do you know, Dave?
42, yeah, 42, I know. I've counted them on people's arms.
Can you identify a dog bite from it? You say, yeah, no, that's definitely Theo, that one. That one's Theo. Yeah, I'm not having that. That looks like a Finn one to me.
Yeah, you can normally identify. You could normally identify Theo's because we were in hospital for 6 weeks.
You normally identify the bite from the screaming.
And from the rust marks on the bone.
But no, my current dog at the minute is Kai. He's a Malinois. Yeah, what book could I possibly write about him? How to not get a dog back in 3 easy steps.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I've gone from hero to absolute zero. I think that potentially, if I do, I've been asked to write a second book. I have. A lot of people were asking about Riley because obviously in the book, Riley disappears.
Yeah.
What people didn't realise is in 2014, Riley was due to be put to sleep, and I went and rescued him from Kent, and he came home, and that was emotional. He came back, and then obviously we've got Sevi. People really want to understand and learn what Sevi's role was at work and what he does, and it's just it's a hard subject, that, because you can imagine it's going to be what he does for a living. We bring, as I always put it, we bring the lost home. It's as simple as that. So hopefully I might explore that avenue, but then there's a little bit of me inside that also wants to keep that private because it's people's lives, and we have to get a lot of permission.
Again,
but hopefully,
your book and my book have completely shown the world what we do with our dogs, what we expect from our dogs, what they give us in return, and that relationship. So, I think there's definitely something.
Dave, I've got to be honest, and we said it earlier, and Harry won't mind me saying it. Yes, my book has shown what Theo's brought to my life, and he saved my life, and people understand. But you, my friend, are the person who's brought police dogs to the forefront. You have. You can shake your head. You've changed the world, and I'm genuine in this. You need to be recognised. You do. And
he does.
You've changed.
He's the only thing I've got against him. He's not that attractive, Well, that would have been the full package. Gareth, you're a handsome man, But it's absolutely true when you consider what he's actually done and changed for the future forever. It is phenomenal, and with all due respect, I love the fact that a lollipop lady got an honour for 30 years service. But if that doesn't beat that, I don't know what does. But
it's one of those things where Dave will have come across a lot of abuse and a lot of flack. He won't talk about it. We all work in that area. He will have got a lot of jealous people. I come across jealous people all the time, and there's two things. If you were that interested, they'd write a book about you. Simple as that. And then secondly, you have to have that drive. And Dave, you have had that drive, and I've inspired a lot of people to become dog owners. I'm very grateful. People still comment, go, "You're the reason I joined the dog. You're amazing for this." It's very humbling. I'm just a stinky dog man. You, my friend, have gone up against law. You've gone up in court, celebrities, and you can shake your head, but they would not have wrote a book about me and Theo if Finn's Law wouldn't have been created. They had to keep that going. It's as simple as that. So, take the cap and all up, mate.
Thanks, mate. I appreciate it. I don't normally swear, but I'm going to. You're talking out of bollocks, but thank you very much. I do really appreciate that, mate.
Mr.
But just explain to me just one thing that your force said to you when they gave you permission to write the book. What is it you're absolutely not allowed to do?
Obviously, I'm not quoting I'm not quoting a police source, but I may have been told that under no uncertain circumstances am I to appear on Britain's Got Talent.
And with that, we are over time. Everyone, if you haven't got it, get that. My hero, Theo. It is the most beautiful story. It is so involved.
And we need to have a dog off. Finn, come here. Finn, come here.
Come on, Finn.
We're gonna have a dog off.
And that means something completely different in Cornwall.
Finn, you're not getting any lighter.
Hang on a minute.
We're not getting any lighter. There he is. There he is. We tried to get a picture of us together, didn't we? It didn't work. Maxi, stop.
Exactly. There we go. So thank you everyone so much for joining us. Gareth, you've been absolute star. Before Finn puts the monitor through the back of the kitchen, it's been great. Mate, we've had so many positives saying this is the best one ever and all that sort of thing. So we'll let Nick Knowles know that. So no, really appreciate it. Great to speak to you. I'm nearly finished. You've given me a couple of spoilers there.
And I can't read, so I haven't read it.
Really appreciate it.
Hang on.
Very important. If we go into lockdown again, there's 330 pages, so don't rush out and buy a load of bog roll. You've got a lot of sheep there, my good man.
Well, if you buy all three of our books, you've got enough bog roll for the whole family.
I know, and the other one. Nice to see you guys. We will end it there. It's been emotional. Thanks very much, guys, and thank you for joining us, everyone. All right.
Thank you very much, guys.
All right. See, this is what happens.